Sean Spicer is here, host of the Sean Spicer Show, 7 o'clock Eastern, right here on the First every weekday. Former White House press secretary, of course. Mr. Spicer, how you doing, sir?
I'm well. Thanks for having me. Always good to see you.
We'll get some insight into Trump here. Where's his head at, you think, right now, at this point in the campaign?
I think at this point in the campaign, Trump's view is, I want to sew this nomination up as quick as possible and focus on the general. And I think that's where he's headed. And he wants everybody to jump on board. You've seen a bunch of endorsements coming from Capitol Hill, from places that you might not have expected, people that haven't always been strong on the Trump train, if you will. But I think he wants to consolidate the nomination quickly and then focus entirely on the general election. And I think, frankly, it's playing out that way.
What does one do when you have Iowa, you have New Hampshire, you have these first states, and some percentage of people don't vote for him, right? Even if he blows it out in these certain states, well, there's still a bunch who didn't. How do you bring those people back into the fold during the general?
So there's two things. One is, to your point, you try to bring them back in. So maybe that's by getting Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley to endorse you, which I think everybody's going to fall in line. I mean, it's just a matter of when and how. So that's part of it, is to try to get some of your rivals and their supporters to get on board. And then the second is just a reality. I mean, there are people out there who maybe didn't like Trump, but say, I like his policies, I don't like his style. They're not going to vote for Joe Biden. And so they might begrudgingly get on board. But especially after what we're dealing with right now, Mike, like, I do interviews all the time on radio and other podcasts, whatever. And people will say, like, how can you vote for Trump? Or why do you think the case is? And I've said, this is the most unique situation in American history. You have a former president running against a current president. And so you can truly compare 4 years of Trump with over 3 years of Biden. There is domestically and internationally no greater of a stark difference between these two candidates and how they operate. But more importantly, the results they got domestically and internationally. That's it, full stop. And so I think Trump will make that contrast argument real quick, which is, here's what I did. Unemployment low, energy independent, a secure border, domestically, internationally, zero conflicts. Biden, open border, interest rates through the roof, concern about the economy, et cetera, et cetera. Internationally, Russia invading Ukraine, Hamas attacking Israel, Iran becoming more provocative, China in the South China Sea, trying to be very open about their plans to invade and take over Taiwan. All of that happening in 3 years. So you tell me which one you want. And I think Trump is going to pivot to that message very quickly. And it's not a tough sell. So I think if he does it well, people will start to come over quicker than, a lot quicker than I think some of the mainstream media and never Trumpers would like.
Yeah, we've all been alive the last 5 years. And you think of Trump pre-COVID, as you said, there's never been such a clear A/B test. There's no unknowns. There's no, I don't know what the Trump presidency will do. We'll see. Let's roll the dice. Or I don't know what Biden will be like. We know everything. Pick. Which do you want?
Well,
so it should be an easy sell, you think.
In the 2015 campaign, which is how a lot of campaigns that I've been involved in the last 30 years work, which is it's hypothetical, it's notional. If you elect Hillary Clinton, you're going to get this. I will do the following if I'm elected, which is what Donald Trump. And people sort of placed their hopes and dreams and said, I don't know that I really believe everything that Trump is saying because of his past. He was a Democrat. We don't know. He's never been elected. Some of the people he pals around with. Hillary Clinton, we know, we don't like it. We'll give Trump a chance. Well, this time, there's nothing hypothetical. It's literally, here was what 4 years looked like under Trump. Here's what 4 years are going to look like under Biden. Pick. That's it. Yeah. It's a simple proposition.
Which I think is why the Democrats have to make up some hypotheticals. And that's when they go to absolute lunatic land, which is, he's going to murder all of MSNBC and stuff like that. They have to make up these hypotheticals.
Getting back to the uniqueness of this cycle. When you're running campaigns, you're always trying to accentuate your positives and point out other people's negatives, right? So the Biden team is really trying to figure out how to play the economy, get people on board saying it's getting better. The one thing that they have working against them that they cannot fix is the concern that people have with the cognitive and physical decline of President Biden because of his age. And unless they make him Benjamin Button, it's not going to, they can't, there's nothing they can do. They can't say he's going to become younger, or we're going to suspend him in time, or we're going to help him up the stairs more. It's just not going to happen. And that concern continues to grow exponentially, not just among Republican and independent voters, but their own base.
Yes, I feel like there's not enough talk about a third party person and the spoiler role that an RFK Jr. or someone else picking off 2 points can make here. No one's really talking about that. What do you see in the scene there?
Well, I think you're right to point it out, Mike. They should be. Look, here's what I'll tell you. This is the perfect example. In 2016, Donald Trump won Michigan by 0.2%, 10,703 votes. Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate, got over 50,000 votes in Michigan. So I don't think it's going out on a limb saying that if Jill Stein wasn't on the ballot, Trump probably wouldn't have won Michigan.
Amazing.
Those voters, enough of them would have voted for Hillary, right? Fast forward to 2020, the Green Party candidate got 1,000 votes, and Trump lost Michigan by over 40,000 votes. So again, how the third party does, and this is why what you're asking is absolutely the right question. If you tell me how a third party does in this election, I'll tell you who wins. The 2016 election was decided over 3 states by 45,000 votes. In 2020, it was 3 states and 70,000 votes. This is going to come down to a handful of states. A third party that gets 10, 20,000 votes in some of those key battleground states, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, or Wisconsin, can tilt that state and make a difference. All of those electoral votes can go one way or the other, depending on the strength of the third party. Last point.
Amazing.
Here's where it all comes down to: ballot access. So the big talk right now is Robert Kennedy Jr. Here's the problem. Robert Kennedy Jr. is on one ballot. He's on Utah. So the guy could poll at 40, 50, 60%. If you can't vote for him, it doesn't matter. And ballot access is a major, major problem for non-major party candidates.
Wait, how is he only on one ballot? Why is he on there, and why is he not on every other ballot as a third party person?
That's because when you're a third party, states have created a system that benefits major parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. So even the Green Party has to fight for ballot access. And they've got it in certain states, but then what they do is they'll make you maintain that ballot access. So you'll have to have X amount of vote in the last election. You'll have to have been getting this many signatures. Kennedy in Utah, it's a relatively easy process there. I think it's 1,000 signatures and you stroke a check. In a lot of states, they intentionally try to keep minor party candidates, independent candidates off the ballot. So again, if Robert Kennedy can't get on a ballot and you can't vote for him, then it doesn't matter how many people support him. And right now, he's on one ballot.
Wow. Oh, that's huge. Oh, that alleviates all my concerns that he would be a spoiler here. Because you're talking about, like, if someone gets 10,000 votes, well, what if someone gets 5% of the vote? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, well, now the whole game is different. Okay,
correct.
that's
and
great.
That's the point, right? So you take a state like Arizona, what was that, 10,000, 14,000 votes? I can't remember off the top of my head. But you get a third-party candidate. Let's say it's Jill Stein. She's running again as the Green Party candidate. If she can get 20,000 votes, that's a huge help to Trump. If Robert Kennedy were to get on the ballot, well, I don't know. The No Labels team is spending tens of millions of dollars trying to get ballot access. They're the ones that I would watch. Number one, can they get on states' ballots and how many? And number two, who ultimately their nominee is. Now, if it's Joe Manchin or a Democrat, that would help Donald Trump. If John Huntsman, the former Republican governor of Utah, were to be their nominee for president and then they had a Democrat as vice president, I think that would probably hurt Trump a little. And so who their candidate at the top of the ticket is and how many ballots they get on in the states is going to be critical. But the question that you're asking, Mike, is absolutely the most important question of this cycle. Who wins this election will come down to how many third parties are on the ballots in key battleground states.
And we got to run here, but is that already decided, or is there still time to get on other states?
Great question. It's still so each state has a deadline. They all vary in each of the 50 states, and they all have their own prescription to get on. So some of them are signatures, some of them are you pay a combination of a filing fee, et cetera. But they're all different. and they all have different deadlines. And so that's the key. So
Wow.
what you have to do to get on Pennsylvania is not the same as Michigan. Utah is one of the easier ones, which is why Kennedy is on there. But he's claiming that he's going to spend over $10 million focused on just ballot access alone.
Wow. Oh, huge conversation here. All right. That's the type of insight you get at the Sean Spicer Show every weekday at 7 o'clock Eastern, former White House press secretary. Sean, great to talk to you, brother.
You bet. Thanks, man. And obviously, if anyone can't watch, they could go subscribe on YouTube or Rumble or Apple. I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.